Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Owen Schroyer now joined in studio by Roger Stone. An honor to be joined by Roger. And you've got a piece that's about to be, it actually might be up on Infowars.com right now, breaking down the latest on Mike Pompeo. He's for WikiLeaks. He's anti-WikiLeaks. He's spinning himself in a circle, Roger.
This is deeply disappointing to me, Owen, because the Central Intelligence Agency and the vaunted 17 agencies we keep hearing about have systematically leaked in an attempt to destabilize the president, first delegitimize his election, and then destabilize him. And it's clear that the place needs reform. They need to wipe out the whole second and third levels who continue to be Obama appointees. Instead, Mike Pompeo seems to be buying the BS narrative of the careerists, the neocons at the Central Intelligence Agency. And he blurted out last Friday that WikiLeaks is a Russian asset. So to be completely reasonable, I would give Mr. Pompeo a reasonable amount of time, say 5 days, to either produce proof of this outrageous claim or resign, because that's not consistent with Donald Trump's view. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I love WikiLeaks." There's no evidence whatsoever of Julian Assange being an asset for the Russian state. The intelligence services keep repeating this because they need it to be true. If it's not true, well then ultimately, and there is no Russian collusion, we're going to learn that the president was under surveillance, or his aides were under surveillance, and he was caught up by it at a minimum for strictly political reasons. That's Watergate times 10. That's spying on the Republican nominee for president. Mr. Pompeo should know better. It's clear to me that the agency is going to run him. He cannot run the agency. I frankly think he ought to resign.
You know, and it's stories like this that remind me about how there's a divide tactic being worked by the deep state, by the media, the Democrats, the globalists, all working in collusion to try to divide Trump's base and defeat him in 2020. I think that that's part of this agenda. And it's almost amazing. You know, you say that Pompeo needs to produce the evidence that he claims that WikiLeaks is a Russian asset. He would have that ability. So he should be able to, within 5 days, actually prove that statement true. If not, I would assume it's false. And what would you think about this? It appears to me that at this point in time that the drain the swamp, it's time for that to become more than just rhetoric. He needs to really drain this swamp immediately.
Well, I guess I would make 2 points. One, look at the actual quote from the FBI director, Mr. Comey, in front of the House Intelligence Committee. When he's asked, have you been able to ascertain with certainty that WikiLeaks is a Russian operation? He says, well, it is our assessment that they've used some kind of cutout. When anybody from an intelligence agency says assessment, that's the buzzword. That means they don't know crap, that they don't know anything. It's a projection of what they want you to believe. Some kind of cutout? Why don't you tell us who the cutout is? You can't, because you don't know, because there is no cutout. Assange is a freedom fighter. To me, he's a hero. I understand those on the left who say, well, he's broken the law.
Well, they loved him, you know, 8 years ago.
Yeah, well, he has broken the law. On the other hand, the law breaking that he is exposing is so much bigger and more serious. Dr. Martin Luther King broke the law too, because he was fighting for a larger goal. These laws specifically are put in place to keep the people ignorant, to stop the exposure of the kind of internal corruption and in some cases treason that has been perpetrated by both the Obama and the Clinton administration. And to me, Assange is a hero. He is not working for the Russians. He is working for no nation state, but he's against the deep state.
Well, and let's be perfectly clear. The emails exposed by WikiLeaks have never been denied as being real. So the emails are real. The Democrats admit that they're real. So why aren't we discussing the content of the emails ever? Why are we constantly obsessing over claiming it's Russia without any proof? What do you think Mike Pompeo's next move is? Roger Stone, his piece is on Infowars.com right now.
My guess is that he is going to resist. The president needs to order him to produce this, in my opinion, and I'm going to express that when I have the opportunity. The real question is, where does the whole Russian meme go? Because
it should have died when we're now looking at a new Cold War and perhaps World War III with Russia, but it didn't die there, did it?
No, it's interesting. The incursion into Syria should have put the end to this. It should have taken the wind out of the sails of the whole argument. How can Donald Trump be in bed with Putin when he's kicking him in the ass in Syria? But as I said, the reason I think the intelligence agencies and the military-industrial complex so desperately need to find some Russian link is if they fail to do so, they will be naked when the examination of Susan Rice and Valerie Jarrett and their use of intelligence data comes into focus. And that's jail time. In other words, if you look at Watergate as the only other previous national scandal we've had regarding, surveillance and so on, while the Senate Watergate Committee hearings destabilized Nixon, while the House hearings on impeachment really signaled the end, it was the Watergate special prosecutor who really sent people to jail. Jeff Sessions needs to get more aggressive, or the president needs to order him to do so. It's time to impanel a grand jury. It's time for the grand jury to question Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett. But what I want to know, Owen, is what did the president know and when did he know it? There is the real question for the grand jury.
Well, and here's the reason why I think Obama is on a deserted island is because of that right there.
An island with no extradition.
I really believe that he is avoiding extradition because here's the thing. I think that there's a major precedent that can be set here. There's a major example that can be set here with people like Susan Rice, people like Valerie Jarrett, who knows, maybe even Barack Obama. I mean, let's not forget Trump called out his birth certificate. Yes, he retracted on that, but I think he was kind of forced to. They could set an example. Let's get these people in front of a jury and either force them to commit perjury or force them to admit what they did. That's what this country needs right now. The focus needs to be back on our swamp, not a swamp in North Korea. You want to take some calls, Roger?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Let's first go to James, who is in South Carolina. Wants to talk about Trump and Korea. Go ahead, James.
Hi. The evolution of, if you might call it evolution of the problem with North Korea stems from they have a terrible economy, and I don't believe they will ever get rid of the nuclear power or their race for nuclear missiles because they don't want to.
Well, okay, so then the threat that America's interest is shutting down North Korea's nuclear capabilities, getting in there, disrupting Kim Jong-un from becoming nuclear capable or putting a warhead at the end of a missile. I don't buy the economic thing because, please, let's look around the world. There are plenty of countries that are in economic poverty other than North Korea. Thank you for the call, James. Roger?
I'm a non-interventionist. I think Donald Trump is a non-interventionist. There are times, however, when American power must be projected. There are times when international foes really do pose a fundamental danger to the United States. North Korea is such a place. Very clearly, based on what recently happened in Syria, what has recently happened in Afghanistan, no longer do we have an American president who will draw a line in the sand and then sit back helplessly while our adversaries cross it. And this is not the Obama administration anymore. And the coddling of the North Korean dictator is over. Donald Trump will do what is necessary to ensure that he doesn't have deliverable nuclear weapons. Thank God for that. Sadly, there are still places where we do need to project American power to protect our self-interest. North Korea, to me, is one of them.
Let's go to another caller. Let's go to Jason, who's calling in from Germany. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be on with you, Owen. And Mr. Stone, truly a pleasure for the first time to be able to talk with you, sir.
Thank you.
Gosh, I wish I could rap with you guys about these things for all night, practically. Roger, You were on Bill Maher's show recently. You guys talked about the 420 thing, about cannabis legalization and states' rights issues and whatnot. There's a really good article. I forget the online magazine. It's called Cannabis or Marijuana Legislation Where Federalism Goes to Die. Basically outlines, how nobody who claims that they're for states' rights can honestly admit that by maintaining, the status quo federal schedule of drugs that they use for cannabis, can maintain that and say that they're for states' rights. That's one point I wanted to drop real quick. But as far as delivering on domestic issues, which Alex loves to bring up, and I don't want to hate on Alex. I love Alex. I love your show. I love everybody that works there. But here's the thing. The elite know that there's many ways you can skin a cat. And I feel like Trump could conceivably deliver on all the domestic issues he wanted, all the ones that he promised, and it wouldn't hurt the bottom line of the people behind the curtain, as it were, that are really pulling the strings around the world. It wouldn't hurt them at all for Trump to deliver on all those domestic issues, and they could still kind of weasel their way into the affairs of America in such a way that they still get the end product that they really want anyway. Or
still persuade Trump into using United States foreign policy to get their agenda across the globe. I hear what you're saying. Roger?
I don't think anybody thought this was going to be easy. We're trying to undo 30 years of bad decisions that were, in many cases, purposely made. And there is an entrenched opposition in Washington, in the Democratic Party, in the media, that barely recognizes the president's election. So you're right, except for to say that if he enacts his domestic agenda, he will strengthen his governing coalition. And therefore, he would have greater strength to take on the international globalists in the two-party duopoly in Washington. And he is, at base, a fighter. He's also realistic. He's absolutely right. I wouldn't engage the Chinese on trade or currency manipulation at the exact moment that we need their assistance to disarm the North Koreans. You got to have priorities. If we are incinerated by a thermonuclear weapon, it won't matter what our trade policies have been. So the president understands priorities. Don't underestimate him. That's all I can say. He's going to get his domestic agenda done. We've already seated the first of what I think could be 4 conservative Supreme Court justices. You can make no more fundamental change in the country than that. Yes, there's a difficult struggle ahead.
Well, and I think if you look at it from the standpoint as he's building a campaign up for 2020, it's working very well. Building up domestic policy is going to help. And even though a lot of the InfoWars fans or InfoWars base may be divided on Trump right now and his foreign policy, the Fox News base out there, those type of people, the drive-by media viewers, they love everything he's doing. And I think that he's really building a nice case for 2020 right now, and he's trying to win that, I think. Let's take one more call. Let's go to Greg in Oregon. Go ahead, Greg. You're on air with Roger Stone.
Hi, Owen. Hi, Roger. It's a pleasure to be on with you guys.
Go ahead, Greg. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope that Trump lets somebody else take care of North Korea and back off of that. We don't need any more wars. Let China deal with them and cool them off. I agree. I think we need to get out of all these wars. Our country is in serious bad trouble, and Trump needs to drain the swamp. In the White House, I believe he's already been compromised, and they're taking over and forcing him to do things. He's let his generals run the military right now, and he doesn't have any say in it. I believe that he's already been compromised ever since that CIA put that picture of the grandbaby in the bedroom, sent that picture out. He has changed. He started flip-flopping and everything else, and, I voted for him and everything else, so, and I hope not, but it sure looks like it is going that direction.
Roger?
Why can't he just...
Well, I think the caller, Greg, you're half right. There's definitely is an effort to make him a puppet, but I don't think they understand the man. Perfect example. We made the limited strike into Syria. The generals now come in for the kill. We need 150,000 boots on the ground immediately. We need to ramp up these attacks. Trump, just based on his own instinct, with no one on the White House staff, sadly not even our friend Steve Bannon, urging him not to go into Syria, Trump moves immediately and comes to the right place. No, we're not having expanded war. This is not going to be the next Vietnam, the next Iraq. So my trust is in Donald Trump. Yeah, they are trying to undercut him. They're trying to flip him. They will not succeed.
Final segment, other side, Roger Stone, Owen Schroyer. Is this are you on the cover? I don't know. We were just handed this. Roger Stone, New York Times best-selling author, The Making of the President 2016. You can find it at InfoWarsStore.com. Roger, it looks like you've got some good reviews here.
Yeah, it's coming up. We've got a book event here tonight in Austin. We have an event on the 20th in Round Rock, Texas at the Barnes & Noble. So we're doing our Texas swing. And it's exciting. It's great to meet the patriots, to meet the freedom fighters. I came here from New York, and as I indicated to you, the level of vitriol, the hatred on the streets is just extraordinary. People sneer at you. Some old man with a cane was shaking his cane at me, and women have spit on me.
These people are ridiculous.
Liberals they're so tolerant. They love free speech as long as it's theirs.
It really is shocking, though, when you actually when you have a face-to-face confrontation with a liberal and you're like, whoa, you actually really believe what you just said, don't you? Wow.
Yeah, it is. And for people who preach tolerance,
well,
the seething hatred is really extraordinary, and frankly, it grows tedious.
So, hey, come out, get The Making of the President 2016 book by Roger Stone, signed. He is doing the Austin, Texas tour right now, so be sure to check it out and get your book at InfoWarsStore.com. Let's try to squeeze in a couple more calls here before we sign off for the Alex Jones Show and then pick it back up with the InfoWars Live 3 to 5. Let's go to Nate in Guam who wants to talk Trump and North Korea. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Owen.
Hey.
First-time caller. You know what? Calling from Guam. Want to say a big shout-out to Hank Johnson there, buddy. We got enough people over here, and we're still not tipped over. So might want to go back to school for that one. Mr. Stone, I absolutely love you, sir. You are a patriot. God help you. God bless your family. God bless yourself. The entire InfoWars team, I want to make this quick because I know you guys had to get to the other callers. Everyone that's listening out there, my brother and I, Alan, want to say this to you because he is the one that red-pilled me. I want to tell you, you know what, right now, take advantage of these sales that they've got because every single product that they have, I bought 2 Alexa Pure water filters, have the supplements coming, taking them, and they work great. Couple things here. You know, when you mentioned it earlier about how, you know, the InfoWars populace out there, we're getting divided and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff that I've been disappointed with. I voted for Trump, got the shirt, Trump's my president. I actually live out in California, but I'm visiting family in Guam. And it's so sad that with free speech, we can't even wear that shirt without running the risk of getting beaten up.
Well, that's what Roger was talking about. It's the tolerant left. You know, I mean, everybody has a right to free speech until the liberals disagree with you. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, Roger. I mean, you've got some book signings coming up here in Austin. I mean, you know the liberals here in Austin like to show up and be loud and obnoxious. I mean, you might see a few more canes getting wagged.
You know, as you know, I'm a little combative myself. So
I've told you need to stop that. You need to lay off the super male vitality. You're trying to fight too much.
That does, and we're going to be producing the new Donald Trump 2020 baseball bat soon. So no, look, liberals are happy to come.
Can you sign that for me at your book signing?
Liberals are welcome to come and ask any stupid question they want. Just don't get in the way of the people who are there for legitimate purposes and just want to learn and enjoy. So we're at Big Daddy's tonight in Houston. In Austin, a burger joint where we're going to have, I think, a good mix of people. So come on by.
Please don't provoke Roger, okay? He's not the one you want to provoke. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Roger Stone. Alex Jones Show will be back. InfoWars Live 3 to 5. I'm switching over to the other studio right now. More news to cover, and we'll probably take your calls as well. I'll be joined by Millie Weaver.